Hello, class. My name is Rihanna Humphrey, and the topic I chose was technology and children. And my title was actually Technology in Young Minds: How Harmful is Too Much Technology? So I chose this topic because learning online and using technology every single day in my everyday life, more recently with online learning, has brought this topic to the forefront of my mind. And I've always had a strong opinion on this topic. I do believe that children should not be spending all day, every day in front of an iPad or in front of a TV. I think it's very detrimental to their mental development. So, my thesis was some parents think it is good for their child to be learning on an iPad when they are younger, while others use it as more of a pacifier when their young kid is throwing a tantrum. Research shows, however, that too much technology can be both physically and mentally harmful to young children. So, doing my research, I learned more about how it can be harmful, but it also can be helpful. It just needs to be used in moderation. So, that is my main point in my research paper, is that too much technology is bad, but a decent amount of technology, like 1 to 2 hours a day, is good for your child. So, my first thing that I researched was the point of view of doctors and what they were seeing. So they were seeing an increased symptoms of ADD and ADHD. They're also seeing increased anger issues in these children, and they're also being more unfocused in classrooms. It's also leading to obesity. So they're estimating that 1/3 of the population under 20 years old is overweight, which can lead to heart issues, asthma, and diabetes, things of that nature. So then I started looking into what teachers were saying, how it's not just the physical, but how they're acting in a classroom. These teachers see them every single day. So I believe that they would know quite a bit about it. And they are saying the same thing, that kids are less inquisitive in class, they raise their hand less, that children are used to learning one-on-one with an iPad. They're used to getting all their information, basically attention, just with an iPad. So when they go into a classroom setting for the first time, it's one teacher to 20 or 30 kids, and they're not used to that. It's very hard for them to make that adjustment, so they're not as focused and they're not as engaged. They're also being more rude and violent. So teachers are seeing a lot more fights break out on, like, the playground, for example, because they believe that it's because of social media. People talk to each other a lot differently on social media than they do in person. And they're just more rude on social media. They're more open. And these kids, that's all they're seeing. That's all they know. So when they're going into kindergarten or first grade, that's how they believe that people interact with each other on a day-to-day basis, which is just not the case. You literally have people online trying to rage bait people, which is just to say whatever you can to make them angry because they think that it's funny. And these children are being exposed to it all the time. So another thing I learned is that children 8 to 10 years old spend about 8 hours a day on various types of technology, like watching TV, being on cell phones, iPads, social media. And then older children are spending about 11 hours a day, which is almost as long as you should be awake on technology. So that comes from a broadcast called 6 Ways Parents Can Give Their Kids a Healthy Media Diet. So it's all about moderation and less about banning it altogether. It's not good to ban it altogether, because there's also things like Sesame Street that teach children letters and numbers, the alphabet, that sort of thing. But if you're on technology for 8 hours a day when you're less than 10 years old, there's an issue, and it's just not healthy in any way. But every child is different. one of the main points I saw was that parents think that it should be regulated, but that they should be able to decide based on their own child and their maturity and what is best for them, which I wholeheartedly agree with. Um, so basically, what I learned is that parents do need a parental bond instead of a stronger bond with their iPad. Um, they can be very helpful, but they can also be very harmful. And that's basically it.